The training tape you're about to see depicts a step-by-step procedure in how to handle fires involving stone-coated steel roof structures. If you follow the procedures outlined, you can effectively and efficiently handle fires involving those structures.
The purpose of this presentation is to give an overview of residential steel roofing technology as it relates to your job as a firefighter. We will give you a brief description of the materials used and their installation, show you how to identify a residential steel roof, how to approach a fire under a steel roof, suggested fogging techniques, and methods of ventilation. Stone-coated steel roof panels are made from 26-gauge galvanized steel with a stone coating on the top surfaces. The panels are pressed into a variety of designs and colors. Some have the look of tile, and others resemble traditional shake. They typically come as sheets that are approximately 4.5 feet long and 14.5 inches wide. They are lightweight, only about 1.5 pounds per square foot, making them one of the lightest fire-rated materials available. The panels are installed on a 2x2 batten and a 1x4 counterbatten grid system. The 1x4 counterbattens are laid flat over the existing roof material, parallel to the rafters, spaced no more than 24 inches on center, and are fastened to the framework of the structure. Please note, the counterbattens are not always installed directly over the rafters. Due to the extremely light weight of the steel, it is often used for re-roofing. You may find it installed over an existing composition or wood roof, over skip sheathing, or over plywood or oriented strand board, OSB, with felt paper. When installed over plywood or OSB, the 1x4 counterbattens are not required. For added strength, the panels are staggered like brickwork. They overlap at the top, bottom, and sides, and are nailed horizontally using 4 to 5 nails per panel. The nails go through both layers of steel and into the 2x2 battens. When installed according to manufacturer's recommendations, the assembly will withstand winds in excess of 100 miles per hour. From the ground, it may be difficult to distinguish steel panels from other roofing materials until you become familiar with the various designs, especially at night. Your first indication will be the oversized metal trim 4 to 6 inches wide on the fascia pieces, and the end caps that finish off the gable, ridge, and hip trim pieces. Only stone-coated steel roofing utilizes these end caps. Be aware, however, that the oversized fascia flashing may be concealed by gutters. Also, one shake pattern doesn't utilize end caps. On or near the roof, steel panels are easily recognized by the stone granules' rough surface. Also, the panels won't break when struck by a sledgehammer or axe. The rough surface provides safer footing, making it easier to work on a steeper pitch, even when wet. However, be cautious. Painted metals without the stone coating can become extremely slippery when wet. Walking or sounding on the roof should be done at the bottom of the panels, where the battens are located. You can sound with an axe or rubbish hook without having to remove the steel panels. Be aware that if you step in the middle of a panel or at a high point in the design, it will depress, giving a spongy feel. This has caused some incident commanders to pull ventilation crews off the roof and not allow suppression crews inside the structure. In fact, the roof will remain intact and could support the weight of firefighters long after it would be prudent to send crews on or under any other roofing material. Compromised areas are easily identified by a discoloration of the steel and the release of the stone coating. A good rule of thumb is to avoid areas that feel hot and sticky under your feet. Steel roofing assemblies will become involved with flame in one of 3 ways: an exterior fire that impinges on the underside of the eaves, an interior fire that breaches an external opening such as a door or window and gets under the eaves, or an interior fire that involves the attic. Records indicate that there is no evidence of a fire ever having been started by something landing on the steel roof and setting the decking on fire, The metal flashing, end caps, overlapping design, and horizontal nailing combine to prevent ember entry. Flame spread on the eave fire is usually very slow due to the trap smoke. This type of fire is easily controlled. Get above the fire and make a cut in the steel and flush water on the deck. The bulk of the fire will be knocked down by the trap steam. To complete mop-up, peel the panels down to the seat of the fire and complete extinguishment as usual. Most interior fires with steel panels can be knocked down by generating steam in the involved area. In an attic fire, this can be accomplished by punching a hole in the ceiling with a pike pole and spraying a wide fog stream into the confined area. This kills the main fire in the area with trapped steam. At this point, a ventilation hole may need to be cut when solid sheathing is utilized in order to allow steam to escape. Immediately following the fogging, access to the attic for mop-up of hot spots can be secured by cutting a hole in the gyprock or using the existing scuttle hole. Whenever possible, allow the steam the opportunity to do its job prior to cutting into the roof. If vertical ventilation is necessary, make a cut as far up the roof and as near the seat of the fire as you feel comfortable. Remember to make your cuts 3 inches from the top and bottom of the rows. This is suggested to avoid cutting through nails. Pull back the panels and flush down to cool the deck and extinguish any hot spots that escape the steam. Peel downward to complete your mop-up. Cutting the steel panels is a simple, quick operation. Let's look in detail at the proper technique. The material can be cut and removed easily with a carbide-tipped chainsaw, pick head axe, and rubbish hook. A pike pole is of little use on the panels. Always run your chainsaw at full RPM when cutting this or any other material. Full face protection should be used when cutting through the steel, and eye protection for those operating in the general area. A ventilation hole can be cut without removing the steel with a pick head axe or a standard chainsaw, but it will damage the chain. A circular saw with a carbide-tipped blade, not a metal cutting blade, is less effective, but it will also work. To cut through just the steel with a pick head axe, straddle the row of panels, keeping the handle almost perpendicular to the deck, and slice through the steel about 3 inches down from the top of the panel, utilizing the airspace. Do not chop downward. Steel can also be removed by prying the front edge of the panel loose with the pick end of the axe. Remember that the panels are approximately 4.5 feet long and have 4 to 5 nails per panel. The nails will either come out or tear the steel. The steel removes most easily from the top down. Remember that the panels are installed in a staggered pattern. After you make a head cut through the steel, it will be easier to remove panels if you make cuts through the steel and battens at the lower point of the design about every 3 to 4 feet, parallel to the rafters. Again, this is done to avoid cutting through nails. The carbide-tipped chainsaw works best. Use the rubbish hook to pry battens loose and peel both the steel and battens from the top down. Steel roofing panels remove quicker than any other roof covering, and at only 1.5 pounds per square foot can be stacked on another part of the roof without compromising the structure. Any standard ventilation cut can be made without having to remove the steel. Trenching, dicing, louvering, and butterflying. Also note that the chainsaw we use has an optional depth gauge control, making cutting across rafters less risky. Basic ventilation steps to follow are these. Locate the rafters. To locate rafters, look under the eaves. The rafters will be installed 16 or 24 inches on center across the eaves. If the structure has boxed-in eaves, Look for nails on the fascia board. Roof jacks are also an indication of rafter location. They will be fastened to a rafter. Place beam of ground ladder in line with one rafter. Always approach from upwind side. Sound the roof. After initial knockdown, cut vent hole when indicated on upwind side of roof to carry smoke away from you so it doesn't blow smoke or oxygen back into the vent hole. Work your way back to the ladder. Never direct a hose stream into a ventilation hole. And remember, it's important to always wear full turnouts and breathing apparatus. The solid membrane created when gyp board or cap sheet overlays are utilized tends to interfere with flushing techniques. When counter battens are not installed, flushing is more difficult. Still, it is better to cut from above the fire and peel down to the burn area. Please understand, you should not aim a hose stream into a ventilation hole, but run water on the deck for knockdown purposes. When solid sheathing is used for any part of a roofing assembly, plywood, gyp board, OSB, or cap sheet, a ventilation hole may need to be cut prior to interior suppression efforts, or interior crews will be driven back by smoke and heat. When installed directly over shake, cutting the row of panels to flush the deck often results in ample ventilation for interior occupation and extinguishment. The interlocking design of the system allows it to maintain a remarkable degree of structural integrity, keeping it in place far longer, containing embers, and confining the fire. Additionally, it allows for the more desirable interior attack utilizing fog streams. It also gives you the option of positive pressure or vertical ventilation. To recap, here are the beneficial characteristics of stone-coated steel roofing. Withstands wind in excess of 100 miles per hour. Trim, flashing, and the nailing pattern resist ember entry. No structural losses caused by flying burning embers. Won't break under impact. Gives early indication of fire when solid sheathing is not utilized. Doesn't slip from position. Resists collapse. Stone-coated surface gives better traction, and the panels are made from materials that will not melt and drip.
The training tape you've just seen has showed you the step-by-step procedures in how to handle a fire